I grew up playing youth hockey here in Minnesota, Blaine, Minnesota. Then we moved to New Hope, where I finished up my youth hockey career there. Played high school hockey at Robbinsdale Cooper, 4 years at the University of Minnesota, and then spent 5 seasons with the Ottawa Senators and 3 seasons with the Florida Panthers. And that's when my body said, you can't do this no more, so I retired. A memory that pops up from my youth was one of the parts of my game that I was better than most was not scoring goals. It was lighting up players. And we were playing, I think it was a peewee, and it was some tournament. And I remember after the game, we had won the game, and I had a couple big hits in the game. And some mom came up to me after and said, "You shouldn't be allowed to play in this tournament." So at that point, I knew that I must have been doing something right because I made someone mad. So I retired in '01, and I really didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life without hockey in it. I had some young kids that were just starting to skate and get introduced to a number of different sports. So what I did is I had hired someone to remodel a cabin in Wisconsin, and he couldn't find anyone to help him. I knew nothing about construction, but I had nothing going on, so I said, if you teach me, I'll work my butt off for you. So that's what I did for the first couple years, and just kind of slowly got introduced to the coaching side of hockey, and going through that process of seeing my kids get introduced to something and then really start to gravitate toward it, and that was hockey. I noticed very early for both of them that they showed a strong passion for it. So for me, that's when things really got busy. Online hockey training was formed in the early 2000s, around 2006, 2007, when it kind of came into my brain as far as the capability of being able to produce something and share it with not only people close to you, but worldwide. The internet wasn't what it is today back then, but you could see that there was a lot of possibilities. But the problem is I really didn't know what I was going to use that for. Until my kids started getting into hockey, I started coaching more, and then started to really research and see how to make kids good fast, as fast as you can. And so I just became what I now tell my players that I train, a mega learner. I tried to learn everything about developing skating, stick skills, the tactical part of the game, which I was never very good at. I was really more the skill guy. But eventually that kind of, went into a bottleneck to where I really specialized in the stick skills and the stick handling, passing, and shooting development, which later evolved into an online program that now is the largest database of off-ice stick handling, passing, and shooting drills in the world that players can access 24 hours a day to get guidance on how to get really good with that stick. So one of the things that I want to make important and at least introduce to players and parents is how effective an environment at home in your garage, basement, or backyard is in a player's development of their hands. We're talking about stick handling, passing, shooting, the puck tricks, all that spinning the stick stuff. That's what I want to really show everyone, that this is a skill acquisition hotbed that, if used properly, is magical. So if you look at players, if you watch them in their space at home, what they spend the majority of the time doing, it's a pile of pucks away from the net, ripping forehand shots, playing games of pig. But that's what it is. Neglecting the backhand. So what I'm trying to do is really waving the flag and saying, hey, guess what? Become a mega learner. I've been developing drills for over a decade that have been put into an easily digestible form that all you have to do is watch the video and then try to go do it like I just showed you, and then go on to the next one. That in a short amount of time, you're going to be on the ice and say, holy cow, I'm getting some mojo. And it's kind of a cool feeling when that happens. One of the things that as a coach that puts a smile on our face is when players that we worked with for a number of years end up doing some cool things. So I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with some really, really passionate and really, really good hockey players here at my facility in Minnesota that have gone on to earn college scholarships. In the early days, it was as little as just moving up one level from a B to an A, from an A to a double A, and then to set that objective of playing varsity hockey, to earn a spot on a junior team, for girls on a national team, and then to get a college coach to say, hey, guess what? I want to continue your education and give you the opportunity to play hockey for us for another 4 years. Those are special moments for me, and I have a whole wall of players that have done some pretty cool things. And the neat thing is, most recently, is that I have 2 players that are competing for the women's Winter Olympic team. So they're in that process right now, and I've been working with both of them since they were teenagers. So it's pretty cool to see them really close to realizing another dream. Back in the early 2000s, that's when the product company came in. You know, the flooring, the sweet hands, the garage tarp, the ultimate goalie, where players can create an environment at home to get those all-important extra repetitions. That's one of the reasons that my boys had early success, is that they just had a stick in their hand more. And how that happened was we created an environment here at home. We created a similar environment up at our lake place. We got them into different instructors that would teach them the basics of shooting or stick handling or passing. I forget what the book is, Outliers. That's where the phrase 10 years, 10,000 hours, that if you want to get close to mastery in any discipline, sport, art, whatever, that you have to have 10 years of focused, deliberate practice towards trying to get better at that craft. And on the ice, you're just not gonna get those reps to develop the hands as you will off the ice. People like me that specialize in teaching stick skills, companies like Sniper's Edge that make it really easy to set up an area at home to feed that appetite of your kid who just wants to have a stick in their hand, and you're sick of telling them to get it out of the kitchen. So it's a fun journey, and my kids are still playing, but they're at the later part of their career. So I still get players coming in here from all ages, as young as 6 all the way up into 20-year-olds. But my passion is just working for them, because I know they come here and give me their all. So I hope that they know that I'm trying to develop and keep coming up with different drills that are going to give them the motivation to keep reaching for it week after week. What separates the average from the really good is the players that can do magical things with a stick and a puck. They can make passes. I call them the dishing magicians. And they just seem to always score goals and get on the score sheet. So how did they get so good? Well, it's not in your practices and it's not in your team games. And we can back that by research. One, USA Hockey did a study back in 2002, I believe it was, on how long players on average have the puck on their stick during games. They got samples at the Olympics, and I believe they did all the youth national tournaments that year across the country, where they'd pick a couple players, they'd watch them, and then see how long they had the puck on their stick. Long story short, right around 1 minute. Different ages, it could be up or down, 15, 20 seconds, but right around 1 minute. So we don't develop our stick skills in games. Practices. After a 17-year coaching career, had winters off. So I was always curious how long players had the puck in their stick during a typical practice, a team practice. So I got a kid from local high school here to help me, and we just went to a bunch of local rinks and got samples from the earliest levels at Might all the way up to high school, both boys and girls, where we'd get to a practice before it started. We'd pick someone right away at the beginning of the practice and film them the whole time, and then came back here, cut it all up to see how long they have the puck in their stick. Our longest samples, we had close to 30 samples. Our longest time was just over 7 minutes. Then we also had a couple samples that were just over 2 minutes, or just under 2 minutes. It averaged out to be about 4 minutes. So I know, and I'm trying to pass it on to people, that in 2 hours of ice, a game and a practice, players only have the puck in their stick roughly 5 to 6 minutes. And that's nowhere near the amount of puck touches we need to get from average to up here. So we have to find ways to get those puck touches, and the easiest way is in the comforts of your home, in your garage, basement, or backyard. So you create the space. We created the space at our home for our kids, and it became the best babysitter for our boys and their buddies when they came over here. And then, as they get a little older and they have the ability to absorb more information, that's when we start guiding them down the path of how to really get good, because there's a structured way, and that's what online hockey training can show you. Sniper's Edge will help you set it up. Online hockey training will show you how to use everything and guide you down a path that has been proven and has been taken by thousands of players over the years. So an interesting study that I did, in addition to the on-ice team practice puck possession study, and I'll quickly review that, where in games, players on average only possess the puck right around 1 minute, and then a typical 60-minute team practice, like during your winter team or whatever, players on average only have the puck in their stick for right around 4 minutes. So we know that in 2 hours, a game and a practice, you only get 5 to 6 minutes of puck possession time. So one of my businesses that I have is I do lessons where players come over and I work with them for an hour. So I wanted to see how long they possessed the puck during an hour lesson. So I filmed, I think, like 25 of my lessons, and would just let the camera run for the whole lesson, and then I would cut it up to see how long they had the puck in their stick. And every player averaged between 18 to 20 minutes of puck possession time in 1 hour. So, do the math. I wasn't a good math guy, but 6 minutes in an hour game and an hour practice, 20 minutes in an hour of off ice at your home, that tells the story. Get in your basement, get in your garage, get in your backyard, and get a stick in your hand and start working a puck. An interesting story that I share with parents is my journey on how I became really knowledgeable about how to get good with a stick and a puck. And I was curious to see how long it would take for a player new to the sport, young player, 5, 6 years old, hasn't really had any experience with the game or this, a stick and a puck, how long it would take for the awkwardness to go away if they committed to doing a program that I developed. So my journey was to teach myself how to stick handle and shoot left-handed. I'm a natural right-hander. So I budgeted 3 to 4 days a week where I'd come down to this space and I'd do drills opposite hand for about 30 minutes. And what was interesting is the first couple weeks, it was clumsy, I was awkward, it was frustrating. all the words that you don't like to hear when you're, trying to learn something and, improve yourself. But then as I progressed and stuck with it, once I got into the third month, that's where things changed. About halfway through the third month is when everything just kind of came together and things started to go away. The awkwardness started to go away. It was smoother, and Coach actually said to himself that I'm getting some mojo now, opposite hand. And now, because I'm going back and forth during the lesson, passing pucks and doing different things, I can't even tell what hand I am anymore. So it's kind of a cool feeling to have, and a little trick that I show the players when I work with them that they're easily impressed, I guess. So I think the biggest difference between, if you compare when I was going through the process of, climbing the ladder in hockey to my kids currently going through the process, is there's just so much more information that is available because of the internet. That was, back for me, you had to seek out in book form or DVD form, and it wasn't easily found. So that's one thing. And because of that education that has been global, I think one of the biggest improvements to the game of hockey is coaches, even at the youngest levels, are so much more educated and more informed, and I think are using the resources not only through their country's coaching certification programs, but just going on YouTube and seeking out what others have posted. There's some really good content out there on how to teach the game. That's been so key. But now it's gotten today that there are so many options, it's really hard to navigate through all of them to see what is the best of the best. But you'll find that when you get into a community that has a large body of players, like in a Minnesota or Michigan or something like that, there's a high density of hockey players compared to a lot of other places around the country, that they start sharing. First they're kind of secret. You find someone that really works for you, you keep them a secret until the competition can't catch you, then you start letting other people know. But people start sharing information, and if you're really good at what you do, that spreads really quick. If you're really bad, that spreads even quicker. But so the biggest difference is better education that is available, more people taking advantage of what options are out there and how to get better at the sport, and then just more trainers and options. There's all kinds of different facilities around, communities that offer specialized skating instruction, goalie instruction, strength and conditioning, stick skills work. So we're in a great time, if you want to get really good at hockey, because there's some really passionate people that are offering services on how to do it.